The information provided by Trading Forex Price Action to you does not constitute personal financial advice. The information provided is of a general nature only and does not take into account your individual objectives, financial situation, or needs. It should not be used, relied upon, or treated as a substitute for specific professional advice. Hey guys, this is a midweek analysis for May 11th of 2022. Alright, let's start off with a Eurjpy. Okay, this is a weekly chart. Let me run you by the current setup I'm looking at. So the last weekly long trade that formed was right here. And the last weekly short trade that formed was right here. And going strictly from this weekly strength, there is more long strength than short strength. So the weekly bias is long. Or in other words, price is likely to reach this pivot high before reaching this pivot low. And moreover, like I've been explaining, on the monthly chart, right at this level right here, there was strong monthly long strength confirmed also. Okay, so for the last week, I've been looking for possible long entry points with lower confirmations with its main target at this pivot high right here. So let me go ahead and show you what's been happening with that. Let's go over to the 4-hour chart. Okay, so on this 4-hour chart, for the last week or so, we've been getting consecutive signs of strong strength in both directions. Now, the first sign of long strength was from this trend line, from this pivot to this pivot right here, right next to each other, with a breakout and immediate break back in, signaling normal short strength. Our price coming right back up, stop out that pivot high, where that normal short strength was created, and thus creating strong long strength. Now, last week, if you recall, I was mentioning that if you get a pullback in these areas close to the stop loss level for a mid-row long entry, which is right here, I will be considering a long entry. However, on the communities tab, I updated that I wouldn't be taking this long entry due to the NFP being released on this day right here. And so I did not take this long entry. And then this week, as price came up to these levels and came right back down, there was actually confirmation of strong short strength now. That's from this trend line, from this pivot to this pivot right here. As you can see, there's a breakout and immediate break back in. Our price came right back down to stop out that pivot low where that long strength was created, and thus creating strong short strength. Okay, so at this point, since I'm only looking to trade with that weekly long bias, I'm looking for any possible signs of strong long strength to form so I could take a mid-row long entry. Now let me show you the lower confirmation that I'll be looking for. Now first of all, it's this trend line from this pivot to this pivot right here. Now in this case, I'm going to need another test of this trend line. However, if we do get that, the price comes back down, breaks it out, and immediately breaks back in. By immediate, I mean the breakout candles close, and the break back in candles open is at the same level, creating normal short strength. However, price could come right back up to stop out that pivot high. That will create strong long strength, and that will be an entry signal for me for a long entry with a stop loss at the last major pivot low on this 4-hour chart, which will be right here, and its main target being way above on that weekly bias's main target. Okay, and moreover, another possible entry setup will be as follows. Alright, so as you can see, on the bottom end, there are many pivots that can create possible trend lines for lower confirmation. So for example, it'll be from this pivot to this pivot right here. Now, if price could come back down, break it out, and break immediately back in, creating normal long strength, our price coming right back down to stop out that pivot low, that will create strong short strength. However, simultaneously at this point right here on the lower time frames, so that would be the 15 to 1 minute chart, if you could get a clean V-shaped recovery, that will actually show extreme long strength because it overrides the strong short strength created at this point right here. Now, I haven't explained this on my course yet, but I'll get to it in time. But for now, just remember that there is a higher degree of strength than strong strength. And this extreme strength forms when the strong strength is overridden. in the opposing direction. Okay, so if we could get this extreme long strength to form, I'll be willing to take a long entry with a stop loss at the pivot low where that V-shaped recovery formed, and the same main target at that weekly bias's pivot high way above. Okay, so I'll keep you guys updated with this setup. Alright, let's go on to the euro dollar. Okay, this is a daily chart. Let me run you by the setup I'm currently looking at. The last daily short trade that formed was right here, while the last daily long trade that formed was right here. Now going strictly from this daily strength, there's more long strength than short strength, so the bias is long, or in other words, price is likely to reach this pivot high before reaching this pivot low. However, recall, like I explained on the weekly forecast, there is overarching weekly strong short strength from a fake weekly HNS that formed, which reached this target height. So I would much rather take a short entry along with that overarching weekly short strength, and I'm only willing to take a long entry if we get an extremely nice pullback to the main stop loss level at this pivot low right here, while maintaining signed on the lower time frames of long strength. So let me show you what I'm looking for in terms of lower time frame confirmation for this daily setup. So let's go over to the 4-hour chart. Okay, so on this 4-hour chart, that daily bias's stop loss is at this pivot low right here. Now initially we had confirmation of strong long strength from this trend line from this pivot to this pivot right here. As you can see, we had a breakout, an immediate break back in. Our price came right back up to stop out that pivot high, thus creating strong long strength. And so as price fell down to these levels right here last week, this was a possible entry long with a nice pullback to this stop loss level. However, this was an NFP day right here, and as you guys know, I don't take pullback entries that are based on NFP catalysts. Okay, so I did not take this long entry, and then moreover at the same time there was actually strong 4-hour short strength confirmed, and that's from this trend line from this pivot to this pivot right here. So there was a breakout, an immediate break back in. However, price pulled all the way back down to that pivot low to create strong short strength. Okay, so at this point, the lower time frame confirmation was actually confirming a daily short bias now. And so the following week, as price came back up to these levels, this was a good opportunity for mid-road short entry with the stop loss at this pivot high, but I didn't get enough of a pullback to entice me for a short entry by about 10 pips. Okay, so at this point, I'm planning to trade that daily setup is as follows. So in terms of long entries, I draw in this trend line from this pivot to this pivot right here. Now there was a breakout, an immediate break back in, showing normal to a strength. However, if price can pull all the way back up to stop out that pivot high, well, that will confirm strong long strength. But like I mentioned earlier, since the overarching weekly strength is short, I'm going to need a nice pullback to that daily stop loss level for a long entry in that case. Okay, and moreover, in terms of short entries, which is actually my preference, what I'm looking at is as follows. So again, try drawing this trend line from this pivot to this pivot right here. Like I mentioned earlier, there's a breakout, immediate break back in. And if price could come right back up to stop out that pivot high and simultaneously make a legitimate V-shaped recovery on the lower time frames, which will be from the 15-minute to the 1-minute chart, well, that will show extreme short strength. So this is the same type of lower time frame confirmation I showed you on that Euro-Yen chart. And if I could get this type of extreme lower confirmation, I'll be willing to take a mid-road short entry with a stop loss at the pivot high where the V-shaped recovery formed and its main target at this pivot low right here. Okay, and I'll keep you guys updated with this one on the weekly forecast. Okay, and that's it for the midweek analysis. Just a word of advice. In current market conditions like we're in right now, all the euro pairs are basically showing similar price movement and consolidating for weeks now. And in a case like this where the euro currency is the base currency of the pair, trades on those pairs may not form for weeks on out. However, on the other hand, on a pair like the USD CAD where the base currency is not the euro, the pair is actually trending right now. So when you're choosing the pairs that you analyze on a daily basis, it's a great idea to diversify the pairs you trade. And that diversification should be chosen based on the base currency. So for example, that'll be the Eurusd, the USD CAD, the pound dollar, the Aussie yen, the NZD USD. Now notice that each have different base currencies, and this is going to allow each currency to have relatively different market conditions. And this is going to prevent a trader from forcing their trades, which is a common phenomenon that happens in these types of consolidating markets. Okay, so I hope you guys have a great rest of the week, and thanks for watching, guys. Okay, bye.